That looks like Robert Smith of The Cure.
Well, this is a bit of a strange start to this roundup video because it looks exactly the same as last week, but the difference is it's not. And also the similarity is that I am in the car going the same direction to the same place for the same purpose. Going to jumpstart a transit for somebody. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Once I caught a fish alive, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then I let it go again. Why did you let it go? Because it bit my finger off. Which finger did it bite off? This was the one that's missing now. The one that's missing now. The one that's missing from my hand. The one that's on the floor. The one that's creating blood to drip on the floor. The one that stings. The one that's going to give me food poisoning. Why wouldn't it be alive? What a silly song. Whoever catches a dead fish, how is a dead fish going to go for that little morsel that you're tempting it with? You think you're feeding it, but no, it's a trap. It's going to get a hook through its mouth. How's it going to bite it if it's already dead? Have you ever thought that vehicles are a bit like people? And I don't mean they look like them, but some are good, some are useful, some are heroic, some are completely useless. And it's the same thing with vehicles and the respect given, because those that really do make the effort often get completely overlooked. And let's think about that with vehicles. All these commercial vehicles you see, trucks, bin wagons, vans, these ones that are basically heroes of the road, working all their life. And what they do, they get fed. They get fed and they get looked after, but then it's back out to work. Do your job, do something useful. And then, they're just basically, they're not actually respected. They're just abused throughout their life and then flung away. How about the opposite end, where you have vehicles that are just kept in the garage, from new, kept in the garage. Never have to do anything strenuous. And they're the ones that people want. The ones that have done all this work and been heroic, yeah, they're worthless. Is that a bit like people? Not really. I've just waved at that man in the Rover 75, forgetting that I'm driving a Mercedes at the moment. Isn't that the same one that he was driving the other day? Yes, it is. Why are you still driving it now? Well, I'll tell you if you like. You see, when I brought it back to my lockup, which is what I did some paint rectification on the bonnet and the roof and the boot and down the side a little bit, which you may have seen in one of my other videos. And now I'm taking it back home because it doesn't need to be in the yard any longer. And now, of course, I can give you an even better appraisal. Having driven this car for about 10 miles and then polished it as well, I can tell you in great detail exactly the same as I did the other day, because obviously, gosh, what are you doing? This has to be a first though, of course. Somebody else's car featuring in 3 of my videos, and it's not even British, it's the German Mercedes. How weird is that? You might think it's weird, I think it's weird, but does it matter? No! Anyway, one thing that really occurs to me whilst in this car, and when I vacuumed it out before, is just how nice the carpets are. But then, a Mercedes wouldn't normally be driven by a man who works in a yard. It'd be driven by a man who owns the yard, and he simply puts his shoes on from leaving the house in his nice heated porch and walk along his driveway, which of course would be clean and concrete or flags or what have you, stone, and not moss, grass, dirt, puddles and mud. And then of course his lovely brown shoes wouldn't be soiling the carpet, so you may as well have a nice light coloured carpet. This is probably the first time it's ever got dirty, which is a bit awful really, considering that this car ended up in the yard and then it comes out with a dirty carpet. It's a bit embarrassing actually. That's a really good bit of art on the back of that fan there. I do regret letting this woman out now. 30 and a 40. Oh, you know what? I've just remembered something. Only a week into my driving licence, I got 3 points on my licence. for overtaking along that particular stretch there with the double white lines. But you can see why you might want to do it when you have people driving like that. Don't worry, I'll catch us straight back up again in a minute. There we go. If you drive along at the correct speed and you catch someone up that quickly, there's something a bit strange on. Is that brakes? Let's go around this bend or lines. There's an interesting thought. We're going back to the early 90s and they didn't have cameras with them everywhere then. That was simply a copper who happened to be in the vicinity at the time spotted me do it. It was a bit of bad luck because it was about 8 o'clock at night, but at the time there were police on the roads just watching out for people. These days you couldn't get a fine for that. They'd have to have some sort of proof. They couldn't just say, oh, I've spotted you doing this and therefore it's 3 points and a £60 fine. Interesting, because normally I'm not really keen on cameras absolutely everywhere, but that would have been an instance where, oh no, hang on. If you know this channel quite well, you will know that from time to time I just do really stupid stuff, and today is one of those occasions. Recently I bought myself a heat gun. What can I do with this? There are many applications for a heat gun and there are many things recommended you do with it, and none of them I'm going to be doing today. Instead I'm going to do something else. It's Wednesday and it's a very cold Wednesday, but at least it's not a wet Wednesday, which would be worse. Wet Wednesdays are one of the most miserable things you can have, as if Wednesdays wasn't miserable enough as they are. Perhaps I should start pronouncing Wednesday as Wednesday like Moira Stewart. Would that be appropriate? Would it? So, some good news that presents me with a problem. Mr. Steve Berry, motoring journalist, has messaged me at 2 o'clock this morning to say that it's too late to message. Right, and also that we should negotiate a price on the black MGTF. Correct. Now here's the problem. Yesterday, the clutch wasn't engaging. That's typical of how things go. That's a problem. The solution? Fix it. Here we go. Here is the roadworks. What work is going on the road? And I can show you it is no work at all. Those lights are in place just so they can park their work vehicles on the road whilst they do some work on the actual embankment. Why can't they just put them in the lay-by? Why can't they just do that? We've got enough roadworks and unnecessary congestion around this town as it is. I blame Andy Burnham. This morning I've woken up with really achy legs, achy thighs, and I thought, God, that's strange, what's been going on there? It's almost like I've been having some sort of workout. And then on my way in, I remembered something. I did yesterday. I did this. And not only did I do that there, but I did it a couple of times beforehand, and that's why I was inspired to record it. And I even did it with the camera facing the wrong way, so I didn't record it. And then later on I found myself hopping around the kitchen like this, so that's probably the cause. So I won't be doing that again for a little while. Maybe not till the end of the day. Got to warm the gloves up. Have you ever seen those rubber strips that you can have on the edges of your door? So when you swing them out, the first thing that makes contact with whatever it is you're hitting is a rubber strip rather than your actual door. Yeah? Well, I've just seen an Audi with those on both sides, a 5-door, and it looked abysmal. It looked a bit like Audi had sent a few cars off to Great Britain for the Great British workforce to put together in the 70s. Panel gaps, that's what it looked like. Panel gaps, that thick. But it makes me question, why would anybody buy those in the first place? But the idea is you don't cause any damage when you swing your door into things. But you would. But the best thing to do is not swing your door into things. That's within your control. Because you're opening the door, you can see where it is and you can see what it's about to make contact with by using your eyes. So why would you need them in the first place? My suspicion would be that they've been placed there because they think as long as those are on there, it's okay to just open your door and swing it into the adjacent car, which means that they do an awful lot of parking in supermarkets in between cars. Obviously somebody's got to do that. It's not okay though, is it? Because what causes the damage is the weight of the door swinging into something else. So it might still cause a dent. How about that? I reckon it probably would. And of course there's still scratches to be had, because once you make contact with any force on something that's got some dirt on it, it's going to cause a scratch. So maybe the dent wouldn't be as sharp. That's it. So when you come back to your car and this Audi's been parked next to it, and suddenly you find a dent on the door, and you point it out and say, look, you've dented my car with your door. That person could just say, well, at least it's not a sharp dent. I'm on a little trip out, and I say a little trip because it's only a few miles away, to go and see a Rover 75. That's right, it's a Rover 75 that's had a crash, and the owner of this car wants me to buy it. Trouble is, money's not exactly something I have a great deal of ever, so that might not be at all possible. But I want to see how mendable it is, because he's run into the back of something, or something's backed into him, I guess, and it's made a bit of a mess. I owned this car. I sold it to him. It was a one owner 75 V6, and it was lovely. And now it's not. Well, what to do with that then? It is a 75 V6 2-litre automatic with only 55,000 miles. One owner. I know it's a very good runner. He was telling me about the MOT man praising it, and it needs a bumper, a headlamp, a wing, a bonnet, and a slam panel, and possibly a new radiator. Thursday morning, somebody said to me last week, I bet it won't last you walking to work. And you know what? It would have done, but I haven't done it once this week because I've always had something else I've got to be doing. And this morning, this morning's a real upside down moment, because I was supposed to be going over to Rover Revival, and then I got a message last night about a package being picked up today, but I wasn't prepared for it. Just suddenly, it's going to be sorted out today. So I've had to get all these labels printed up. It's going abroad, you see, that's the trouble. And all these different documents printed up. And although I have a printer, I can't connect it to my phone. It just won't do it. It just refuses to play ball. If my printer was a man, I wouldn't be its friend. I've said this before, I'm not sending big items again. And then I've ended up agreeing to do it. And I just regret it. It's just not worth the amount of time involved. That's over half an hour I've spent packaging the thing, and then I've spent another half an hour this morning trying to get my printer to connect, and then another hour off at Senior Mustards, who does have a printer that connects, and then I still haven't finished it, and it's just, I'm having a bit of a moan, aren't I? But honestly, there's a lot of time used up. It's already 11:15, and I was ready to be at work at 9. Right, well, I'm at work, and this is the package that's going, and I've run out of tape, so I'm going to have to go back out just to buy tape now. Cute. Morrison's. Do you like Morrison's? I do, a bit. I like it less than I used to. I certainly don't like it today. I don't really want to be going here today. And I don't know whether this chap who I'm sending this to is a viewer of my videos. He might be. Maybe I'm just turning into a moany old man. I don't know.
What am I supposed to do now?
All the Morrison's pound aisle stuff, which has gaffer tape and all kinds of tape there. They haven't got it because of Christmas. So the assumption is that at Christmas, people don't want to send things that require tape. So that was a wasted journey. And now it's 11:20, and I still haven't even actually done any proper work.
Do 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 do.
Today has been neither funny, interesting, good or productive, but it has been boring, frustrating, annoying, pointless, and time consuming and wasteful. It's a lovely, bright, cheery Saturday morning. At least it was 10 minutes before I came out. But never mind, Gladys is beading in a rather lovely fashion, looking all majestic and like a lost emerald in a great big dog turd. Recording thoughts for my third roundup video. That's what I'm doing now. And one of my thoughts is how awkward it is to actually edit this when I've got bits of other videos all the way through. Anyway, that's not your problem. Look at that sky. I'll tell you what else isn't your problem. My beard. That's my problem. And I'm not even sure it is a problem. But just over a week ago, I did intend on trimming it all down again. And I didn't get around to it. I didn't get around to it every day. Every day I've been thinking, oh, I'll have to do that today. And now it's got to the stage where, had I have done it in the first place, I'd be thinking of doing it again. Don't know what that was about, but I do know what this is about. I am 95% certain that in this bag here is a pair of walking boots sent to me from a chap called George.
And look, these boots are made for walking. They're correct in size and they're very, very comfortable. What a bonus. Only George knows my shoe size. Actually, maybe everybody knows my shoe size, I don't know. But how amazing. I'm going to wrap up this week's roundup thingy just there. I have always had a rather cynical view on life. Many things give me a rather pessimistic view on humanity. But the YouTube community gives me a very different outlook. So many
nice people out there, so many generous people doing nice things, that it gives me that faith in humanity again, which we all need, and especially around this time of year when Christmas can make some people thoroughly miserable. And honestly, that includes me, because I've never been keen on all the bravado and the expense and the showing off and all this kind of thing. I'd like a nice, humble, quiet Christmas with beer and lots to eat, but that's all. I feel like I've received quite a few things these days. I'd like to think it's like an exchange. I put an awful lot of effort into making my videos, so many people really appreciate it. I have many people that watch them all, and I appreciate them watching it, commenting and liking it and getting where I'm coming from. That really helps me. It helps me knowing that people like it. But then to receive gifts as well it's just fantastic. And I do have my email there for donations for anyone that wishes to donate, because at this stage in YouTube life there isn't really very much money in it at all. There's enough on average to pay my car insurance a month, which is a help. But then again, of course, the amount of time I put into doing videos rather than cracking on with some proper work far outweighs that. As a teenager, I had this dream of not having to do work like other people do, and like many sort of creative type, just really sort of putting all your efforts into something artistic, which is what I did, which was music. I spent an awful lot of my time just getting better and better on the guitar, and at one point I was surprising many people around me, but nobody really suggested that it was a realistic thing. It's just a hobby. But these days, the YouTube thing, the amount of people supporting me, with the view of this actually becoming something I make a living out of, is quite astonishing, and I really appreciate that. Oh, and by the way, walking, yes, the walking boots, which I've had sent to me, because obviously I've mentioned that I did quite a bit of walking last week and my feet were hurting. It wasn't a hint for anyone to buy me anything, but I will make jolly good use of it. But this particular week I haven't really done any walking, because I've had various other tasks that have needed having a car with me. But next week, back on foot, I reckon. So if you're watching just the roundup videos exclusively at the moment, which nobody's likely to be doing, then I'll see you next week. And thank you lots and lots for watching, commenting, liking, subscribing, sharing, etc. Bye bye.